Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. And today we are going to be diving in to Shadow Alchemy, the pathway to soul purpose. And we're meeting with, you know what? I'm drawing a blank on how to pronounce your name. I'm just in the high state of energy. Truly.
Yeah.
It's Aisha, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Aisha, gosh, it's like I knew that, but the words and so much energy that's flowing through. Yo, on the pre-call Vesha, we started going down the Egyptian portal, and I felt this huge expansion coming through. And Aisha's going to be there in the next few weeks. I was there exactly a year ago, but there's something that is we're being invited into. And I want to call it like the simulation chamber of what we're accessing as we're connecting. This is so cool for me because this hasn't come up for me like this in a call I think ever or in a while. So I'm curious as to what comes through again as we dive into shadow alchemy, as we talk about shadow work and how perhaps it's the gift and not the problem, and how it's aligning us with our soul purpose and the power that's already inherently alive in you, and just learning to have a revised relationship with it now because it's time. Not that you've been doing it wrong, but perhaps it's time to awaken to it now. Um, What can I tell you about Aisha is that I had an amazing out of this world session with her a few weeks ago, and I'm still reeling from it. And I felt like something broke through that was ready. And again, when I talk about perhaps we're just ready to receive this now, I believe that is accurate. And instead of reading Aisha's bio, I want to read actually a testimonial from one of her clients, and you'll be able to experience the presence, the work, and we'll get into live Q&A and a special offer a little bit later on the call as well. But I invite you to like take a deep breath, open to receive at a high vibrational level that you have without question access to. So the testimonial that comes from Laurel is Aisha love is what these times need most. A full spectrum of healing, not just one spoke of our will. She can truly see what holds us back from joy and love beyond anyone I've ever worked with. And believe me, I've tried, but never to the crux until now. This is what comes from pure love, holding space for our healing as well as our multi-dimensional abilities that can see past this lifetime, where a lot of what held me back resided. Have willingness, will travel to joy and love, Laurel. So, and it's with that, Aisha, that I want to welcome you to the call and to Beyond the Ordinary.
Oh, thank you so much, John. It's so
Mhm.
wonderful to be here with you and everyone else. I can feel the energy just like you can.
Tell us a little bit more about your awareness of what you receive and transmit for others, and that how that serves as an activator of potential for anybody who's receiving you.
Absolutely. So I have been through, like I'm imagining many of your listeners and you yourself have been through a whole series of not just awakenings, but
Mhm.
deconstructions of my self-concept. Beginning 08, 09, when my father became ill and then transitioned, and it kind of kicked the doors open to multidimensional reality for me. And it's interesting because as you opened with the connection to Egypt, I was being told to speak very clearly first to an anecdote and experience I had that prepared me for my first trip to Egypt in 2017 as a way to illustrate and then highlight for listeners tonight. I think it's kind of clear that we're not just having a conversation here tonight, but there's kind of a sacred threshold that is being crossed. So here's the story. I am often guided as a field agent to travel around the world, and Egypt 2017 was on the docket, and I was being prepared before I left. Different characters from Egypt were showing up in my meditations or out on my walks, and I was taken to a chamber in meditation where I basically had to face my fear of death of the physical body. And that ensued, and I was able to kind of put myself back together and continue on. And lo and behold, when I got to Egypt and we went to the Great Pyramid, the group was guided to the King's Chamber down below to go through the very initiation I had been through before the trip so that I could get into um, the main, room and sit in a very specific place where tile had been removed. So I could, it turns out with hindsight, I could be the conductor for all the energy that we were moving. But here's the main message that's coming through is that do not be afraid of ego death, what shamans call the little death. And this is what I'm feeling from the field tonight is that there's so much that we can cling on to and hold on to as a self-concept because it kept us safe. It is familiar. It's comfortable. It's where here's the big highlight. I often see a big yellow highlighter come out when something is really important to emphasize. It keeps other people in our lives comfortable with who we are. But we're clearly at a moment right now where many, many of us are being asked to self-reveal, self-disclose more of our shadow, which just simply in my understanding and my daily practice of it are all the parts of ourselves that we don't unconditionally love. So
Mm,
this is a long answer to your question. That distorts our field. I see everything in terms of geometries like behind me. And so we're then emanating something a little bit more discordant rather than balanced and something that has harmony. And so that is the ultimate work, is to restore this kind of harmony and balance in our templates, our multidimensional templates, and then emanate that. And then as we walk through the world as loving, present, equanimity-based unity and coherence, the reality fields can start to entrain to that in a different way. And that's my jam is working with
mm,
multidimensional templates. And so it's a little bit of a different kind of level healing, but as humanity evolves and innovates and moves forward, this is clearly where I've been guided to come out and speak and allow others. I just keep getting the message. They're like, tell them it's okay to let go of who you used to be.
mm, I'm just
Order,
pausing so that
yeah,
we can breathe that in for just a
breathe it
second.
in. Yeah. Yeah, because you yourself, everyone has their own blueprint that wants to activate now and unfold, and it's a displacement from within. It's like
Mm.
an unfolding.
Will
And
you repeat the invitation again?
yeah, so it's okay to let go of who you thought you had to be
Mm,
and allow your greater blueprint, your greater multidimensional intelligence to begin to activate who you were meant to be here.
mm.
We might refer to that as soul mission, soul plan. Yeah, I could feel it. There we go. I feel a lot of hearts opening.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Me too. That's why I wanted to be in the pause because I felt it was just like this unfurling that was happening instead of this pop. And the depth of the slowness of that for me is also about how we can sustain it, not just by glimpsing a spark, but by holding the full implosion of what's happening, right? So it's quite beautiful. I want to get into how you perceive these multidimensional realities in just a second, because I think it's so fascinating the way that you perceive and also translate and how that is helping so many along this path. But before we get into that, I want to dive in a little bit more about shadow work and get into your awareness that shadow work isn't about fixing what's broken, it's about something else.
absolutely. First, I'm being guided to just describe how, like, what does that even look like, sound like? As a
Hmm.
like a metaphysician just simply means like my body is a proxy for someone else's, so I can feel and perceive all these different edges and kind of blind spots and where someone is still judging themselves. The voice is like a record player. I can hear certain tones that come through. And so it's really just a matter of bringing into the light of our own awareness where we have judgment is how we back into it. So where we judge ourselves, where we judge others, project out is obviously where we're judging ourselves. In multidimensional physics, judgment is simply resistance. So it creates a kink in the hose of like, I see a lot of source plasma flows coming through a prismatic, we're all light, and it can gets distorted. So that's why as we do this work to find to take it out of the esoterica, let's say we grew up in an ancestral line where just sitting around and taking it easy wasn't okay. You always had to have nose to the grindstone, martyr yourself, work, work, work to prove your worth. And of course, that wasn't in the blind spot. That was just like the family value and the ethos, right? Well, then when you need a break and you're taking a rest, you can't actually rest. There's so much judgment and conditional acceptance. You're not lovable if you're not working hard.
Mm.
And so when you bring that into the light of your own awareness, you can meet it with so much more love and not fear, and it alchemizes. And then, John, this is where it gets really exciting. And I've touched this a little bit recently in the last few months with others. As we alchemize all of this shadow, all of these judgments, all of this conditional love, all of this fear, we repurpose it into something that's much more creative and
Mm.
playful. And we return to like children who get to be on a playground, and it feels so different because we don't have edges, and there's no like passive aggression, and there's no unspoken like energy, that's being usurped by all the ways in which we're judging ourselves and others. So I feel like it's important to say that the why. Why bother with this? Because it can be shocking to confront our shadow and realize all the ways that we've been acting out of wounded motivation.
Well, I think it can be shocking, but I think it's unavoidable. And it is part of the circle of returning back to the truth that we feel deeply within us, but all parts of us get to go there. No part gets left behind.
There it is. That is huge. When I see a lot in my work is that there are these exiled parts that feel abandoned parts
Yeah.
that feel like, well, A, they've already kind of gotten left behind. And so they don't feel like they're going to get to come. And it can create all this kind of havoc in our lives to get our attention, not as a bad thing, but to light up in the same way that a child who really wants love can start to turn up the volume on negative attention. Our
Right.
shadow, to your point, no one's getting out of this. It's
Yeah.
the physics of where we're at. It's all meant to surface because it all wants to come home now,
Yeah. But as Carl Jung states, there's gold to be mined in the shadow, and the shadow can become your strongest ally.
big time. Especially because I used to, avoid group gatherings and social functions because I could just feel everyone's everything, you know? And as I started to work with that and be able to alchemize it, then you can move through, especially if you have your own triggers or your own, I like to call them catalysts, right?
Nice.
If someone's comment, let's say, I don't know, about your height or whatever, zings you, catalyzes you, triggers you, that means some part of you is still self-rejecting. And
Hmm.
so it's such a gift.
Right.
And then when we come into full acceptance, then we move through the world with such equanimity and peace.
Hmm. How does I want to call it the work, but that's not the right. How does a relationship with multidimensional realities and your perception and embodiment of that help clients really integrate the shadow aspect of themselves? Because there's a lot of shadow work in different modalities, but you have something that you bring in that's very unique. That for me illuminated something in my experience with you of something that was just kind of it was ready to pop, but the right vehicle to inspire that progression wasn't necessarily presenting itself. And so something clicked.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's like, oh, thank you. That's there. And that action taking ability, that strength seemed to awaken in ways that I felt the discomfort of not getting there yet in different ways,
Hmm. Hmm.
but also felt the relief and the new possibilities as the stream really started to pour in from the gift that was sitting there latent for a while.
Right. Well, thank you for the question. What I'm being shown now in this specific context is that at the soul level, or even kind of beyond the soul level, depending on how we decided to, come in here and represent whatever dimensional level or whatever council or collective, we have a very specific blueprint. And the blueprint looks like these geometries, okay? And we knew that we would have to take on an ancestral, informed, trauma-informed body, human body that has all sorts of distortion and discord that's been handed down because we're pretty much the first generation or maybe second, third if you're lucky, to alchemize and take on ancestral
Mhm.
trauma. And so your soul slash oversoul beyond is intent on bringing through this activation, this displacement, and this like recoding. So they'll call in someone like me to say, "Ooh, we need with this, we just need a little help here to shift this." That's why they're saying right now, and by they, I just mean all of our own teams who are rooting us on, saying, "You guys have this. You set your plan. You're here. You're going to carry it out." Um, to just help do the tune-up, or shift this, bring this discordant energy into the light. And that's, I'm being shown the soul's greatest joy is to
Mm,
remember who we really are, to meet ourselves with unconditional love, and then change the templates from within. And to answer your question, the multidimensional templates I see are like we're in a holographic projection. So you change that base code of set of instructions, and then your holographic reality shifts and the reality fields shift. And this is why I often see like people's faces will change in like real time
mm,
doing this work, because cymatics, if you've watched sand with sound vibration and it creates different patterns, that's basically what's creating form, including the human form. So
mm.
then we go into something much more coherent, kind of like I call it the OG design, the original.
Nice.
Human beings are just an amazing design. We have amazing, incredible abilities that all want to start to unlock now through
Wow.
this, through your own blueprint, your own, and I'm hearing your own song, your own vibrational song.
That's really quite powerful. You going into Egypt and into the king's chamber, there was a study that was done with Simanis. They took a plate into the king's chamber to the sarcophaguses, and they allowed the plate to vibrate in the temple, and they filmed it forming hieroglyphics in the sand, the symbols that were part of what used to construct the wall. And so the frequency of what we're emitting according to our beliefs, according to who we understand ourselves to be and how we communicate that, they're emitting codes. They're emitting vibrational communication that is either blossoming a new creation or potentially destroying a creation that's ready to blossom or that has blossomed. And so to
Yeah,
have
that's
an awareness of
amazing.
what we're carrying and the why behind it is becoming more relevant now as we're becoming um, much more aware how responsible we are, not just for what is progressing in our own individual lives, but the implication of how we share that with others.
That's it. And the big why here, right? I think everyone can relate to this given the conflict in the world is we all want to see more peace and
Mm,
harmony, but we can't do it through projecting out there and trying to fix it out there somewhere. It's here. And it's powerful because when we entrain in this way, we literally reshape the reality fields around us and invite others into a third way. I work with the tri-code. I was shown a long time ago this beautiful overlapping three circles and it kind of has its own, base code shift. I was shown years ago that we're just dealing with a lot of errors and omissions in our code. And so when we restore some of that original design, and then I'm being shown, there's so many healers that are here, that congregate in your community. And you all have like very specific blueprints I'm being shown. And no two are the same, nor should they be. Like
mm,
everyone has their own very unique constellation of what they're here to bring. And then you put it all together and it's exceptionally complementary. So that's kind of the other message is like, don't be afraid to let go of who you thought you needed to be so that in order to really become who you came to be, which is not anyone else's modality. It's like your own unique, special contribution. And
mm,
they're showing me like unwrap the gift of yourself that you are. Be curious, be playful with it. You have no idea what
mm.
this is capable of, right?
And there's so much that's coming online that we haven't experienced before either. I think that's probably why we're having this time of reconciliation with who we believe ourselves to be because we're stepping into tomorrow in the future, but we're not creating from the same cycles in which we created from the past. And as we
Not at
become
all.
activated more online in this way, the potential is expanding in a way that our minds can't just quite grok just
That's it.
yet.
My team always says that they're like, you can't fathom, you can't understand where all this is going. And lately, the messages coming through me are something like this. Hey, y'all, slow
Mm,
your roll on trying to evaluate your impact. That's our job. you have no idea how far this ripple effect goes. You just show up in your heart of service and let the evaluation of impact, let that go. Right.
So, Aisha, let me ask you this. How does going into a course with you or a session or different gatherings for there's different things that we feel at different times, and I can speak for our general audience of I don't feel like I'm enough, or I don't know where I'm supposed to serve, or I have gifts, but I don't know how to put them out in the world, or I'm stuck in my finances, or I'm trying to access my guides, my days, wherever day may be, ancestors, galactic, ascended masters, angelics, and I have different experiences of all of them at different times. So it's like I can hang with y'all in different ways. Um, but how is it that you help people really to settle into that wisdom that's already there with them
Hmm.
and overcome any fear of not enoughness or I'm not getting it or I'm not gotten by other people so that they can really stand in their sovereignty and really get to receive for
Yeah.
themselves the gift that they are.
What are you, just an outlier like me, or are you just extra dimensional?
Extra,
Yeah,
yes, love that.
extra dimensional. Um, all right. Well, I'm being shown to speak about you're gonna save you some time here. So I went through
Nice.
all the micro steps and like coming from I'm human and I'm not special and I don't have access to wisdom. And so
Mm,
it must be all out here from these amazing beings that will tell us. And I went through all those stages and there's no judgment. I mean, those were all valuable, but we're here right now in this moment. And in this moment, here's the remembering for all. Each one of us is a vast, multidimensional being with incredible intelligence. So this is part of why we're being invited to let go of who we thought we were, thought we needed to be, and not to replace it right away with another box,
mm,
but do something similar to what I was guided to do in 22, 23, move to the side of a mountain in North Carolina, let everything go, and went into the void. And I was told, let all your constructs go into the void. And it was this beautiful, like dark, loamy, fertile soil
mm,
in which our physical world has a corollary. When we plant a seed, we don't plant it in the sun, we plant it in the void, we plant it in the soil. And
mm,
in the right conditions, it sprouts new life. And so that's what we're all being invited, like let go of that carapace of the who you thought you were. Suspend your need to define yourself, allow yourself to be in the undefined, and just allow your heart to guide you. So it takes a lot of like shifting from here, like the longest journey, right here to here, heart to head to
mm.
heart.
The
And
100-foot journey,
so
yes.
here's the thing that with the shadow work, John, to your question, the not enoughness. Believe me, when I started this journey, I was like, what? I don't know how to do any of this. And then it turned out I did. So it's
Mm,
suspending our beliefs about who we are in favor of curiosity and playfulness about what might be. And then to move into a heart of service. And I was just having a conversation with my partner Jonathan this morning about this because as much as we've practiced and done our craft in the world and helped others, we can still get in our own personal story. And so here's what's really helped me with the like not enough or I don't feel like I really know what I'm doing or whatever. It's not about me. And it's not these are not gifts for me to withhold or to sit on. And once you reorient yourself that way, it just shifts the framework. And then shadow work, of course, is just like, well, what's the not enoughness about? You know, let's get down there and excavate to your point and find the gold. And so that's a powerful tool as well to bring that into the light. But, I mean, you and I, before we got on, were talking about how much, I was like so many rounds of self reveals that keep coming, which are amazing. And it's all for our own refinement. And I've gotten very clear that what my socially conditioned ego and self-concept think is important is no longer important. It
mm.
just isn't. And so
Yeah.
I think that's why we're all getting this pep talk tonight of like, just let go of who you think you needed to be.
It's there's gifts that are waiting for us if we can just where does the quote that comes in? It was shared to me by someone that I've been working with for quite a long time. She's amazing. It's an honor to wait for the Lord.
Mm,
It's an honor. So we're in this hurry, but we're also aware that we're connected to something. And how much trust can we have in that connection truly? And if something hasn't arrived in the way that we're yearning for, that what an honor it is to wait, because what's being created that is beyond what I can perceive is available.
I often joke, I mean, my high school guidance counselor didn't tell me this was going to be my career.
Right.
These just weren't constructs and still aren't for many. Although with the psychedelic revolution on, I feel like more and more people are kind of getting my world now, you know. Um, but for all of us, it's truly what is emerging now, I think, is meant to be. I have a theory that we set it up this way so it would be a joyful, fun surprise and
Hmm.
not something that we have to label or put in a box all the time. And we do that because we want psychic safety and we want reassurance and that's understandable. But sometimes the mystery is the gift.
Yeah, but the reassurance and this and the safety, as you say it, for me, it shows up. I'm having a contemplation within myself, and I'm having these truths that are awakening, and they're a conversation between me and my guides and God. But then you come on and we have a conversation, and you're talking about something so far out there that I just tapped into as well, that I've talked to nobody else about or nobody has shared with me in any other way. And then this other conversation comes in that to validate that experience as well.
Mhm.
And then I'm having dreams at night that are that I'm refining old ways of being where we're getting choice points. Am I going to choose that again? Or am I choosing something different? And those choice point reframes are coming up here. And the choice point reframes are happening in our daily lives. Are we going to enter into that old relationship again? May not be the same person, but it's the same pattern. Are we going to vote in the same way that we voted before, where it's not getting us anywhere? It's taking us something away. Am I going to spend my money at the same place where, hold on a second, something doesn't feel right about this? It's actually taking something away. And there's many other examples like that. But we're becoming more aware of where we're putting our energy and our love and how we are more conscious. Is it giving us dividends in what we've exchanged, which it's meant to do, or is it taking something away, which is diminishing my light? And that obviously is not what's supposed to happen. And so we're becoming much more discerning and aware of where we're having relational dynamics and the implications of those relations.
Absolutely, 100%, especially self-aware. I'll use myself as an example.
Yeah.
So, growing up, I had no awareness of something called attachment styles. And
Mm.
only in the past, I would say, year and a half, in this divine complement relationship that my team told me was coming, and sure enough, showed up. The um, the revelation, and it was also just where I got to in my own life after living through some pretty extreme exopolitics and just what we can, those of us on the fringe can end up, working with into a form of lone wolf, hyper independent self-exile, self-isolation, to your
Mhm.
point, that hit diminishing returns. I got to the end of the line on that. And so many of us now are being asked to look at, and I did a little bit of a higher love tour in Europe in the summer. And so I met with healers all throughout Europe, and I realized everyone was in a similar orientation of I'm too weird, I'm too extra, I'm a needle in a haystack, to the point that we were missing opportunities to collaborate and be in community. And so, to your point, it's definitely time to look at the old patterns and where has that gotten us? For me, lone wolf, hyper independence, I understand how all of that developed from a young
Yeah.
age, going into an attachment style that is dismissive when it's not dismissive, fearful, avoidant, and and really circling the wagons on those and changing how I'm doing it. And it's not a one and done. It's a
Right.
constant reframe.
Mm.
Um, but recognizing where all that wounded motivation came from, and the stories that we tell ourselves, right? And then beginning to shift those into something else or something just neutral. Maybe just drop the story and the void be, let something else write itself. And that's what I'm being shown now. And many people probably have seen light language written out, it's beautiful symbols. I'm seeing a lot of that, and it's like we want to rewrite and recode ourselves according to our blueprints. And that is what is initiating. Um, and so it just takes a willingness to surrender all the old defenses and
Mhm.
fortifications, justifications, narratives, all of that.
Yeah, it's beautiful. The narratives and the storytelling. And y'all, we're gonna get into Q&A a little bit. There's some great comments coming in the chat. Y'all can raise your hand to ask questions as well. We can take live calls. So we'll get there in just a second. Um, but to the point of storytelling also is like, again, we're becoming more aware. There's the romantic notion of things that we're weaving, which is wonderful. But there's also science that is meeting that romanticizing, the languaging in that way where the storytelling is reinforcing and feeding a neural pathway or a nervous system response in a particular way. So, what words are we using to reinforce a structure that we either want or don't want,
That's
right?
it.
And
Yeah,
so it's wonderful because of all this guidance and the part of that multi-dimensional reality that we are choosing to ground into the existence as a collective is really asking for a part of embodiment and structure and the awareness of what's coming through. So yes, we get to go out there, but y'all, like the times that we've been waiting for, the feelings that y'all felt there's purpose. I know I'm here for something, even though it's confusing and maybe sometimes I just want to leave the planet. But the innate knowing that you're here during this time for a reason, that there's something more, that the reality that I've been experiencing isn't the reality that I know is possible. That grounding in is activating for a lot of us. That encodement is turning on because the time has really come for that.
that's it. Absolutely. I think this is why we're being spoken to about ego death tonight,
Mhm.
because yielding and surrendering to something else and allowing that to displace through. It's like I'm just hearing surrender your judgments.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you as they're saying
Well,
this?
when I see that and feel that and I hear it and I can feel like so many of our teams here tonight,
Mm,
it's surrender your judgments. This is what is blocking you. Your stories. It's like I'm being shown a record player skipping and it's saying the same thing. And it's like, just take the needle off the record player. Enough with the stories. Surrender the judgments of the opinions, the ideas of what you think is, and
mm.
let it just be, is what I'm being shown. Don't replace it with another narrative. It's
Allow
like, do
yourself
we
to
have
be
enough,
empty.
yeah, do we have enough patience to just sit back and allow a new level of clarity and understanding to emerge from within?
Wow. Again, I'm sitting in the silence for a second just and receiving that and that wave for y'all, hopefully to maybe breathe in and I invite you to feel it also. Um, there's a lot of energy running through on this call, Aisha, which I really appreciate a lot that's grounding in. Um, I want to get into special offer in a little bit. I want to go to live calls now and questions that are coming in the chat. Again, before we go there, though, what can someone expect when working with you? What comes through? It's because you're so present in the moment, and so get you because I tend to be that way also.
Mhm.
But sometimes it's difficult for people to go, well, I know something's happening, or I know something's shifting, or I know, I know that that's done, but I don't know how to leave it, and I'm stepping into something else. But how do you describe the facilitation that occurs in the
Yeah.
different ways that you guide in such presence?
Yeah, I'll start with like the outcome. And the outcome is I'm the walking example of that. I have a 19-year-old daughter and she's seen video of me from 20 years ago and said, "Mom, you're not the same person." Like,
Yeah.
great. I love a lot of good German Stoic ancestry of like, let's shove our emotions and not feel and run
Mm,
everything through the intellect. So the outcome is becoming a much more soft, loving presence. The harshness fades, your peace returns, your contentment, your joy goes up. And the reason that happens is because we find all the distortion in your self-concept of what is and is not acceptable that tends to be in a person's blind spot. I mean, look, my team had to
Yeah.
send in a mentor to help me with this. That's why we call them blind spots.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and then once they come into the light of self-awareness, it can be well shocking, but also amazing because then we realize, oh my gosh, this pattern I've been in my whole life can now release now that I understand what's been driving it. And
Mm.
that shifts. And so, I'm my big wheelhouse, one of my big wheelhouses is alignment with soul purpose. Because I seem to have extreme clarity on what it's like to get to your life review and not having done what you set out to do. So from a very early point in my awakening, I just had this drumbeat in my head of like, I'm not getting to my life review and having that same conversation. I'm not doing that this time. So you want me on YouTube talking about aliens? Fine, whatever. I'll do it. Let's go.
Nice.
Um, and so, but I do have an understanding of what the inner skeptic and our I mean, look, I grew up in the 80s. I don't know if you can get more materialistic Cartesian worldview than that in America, right? And so, unpacking that and coming to terms with self-acceptance is just a huge piece of aligning with your actual soul plan of why you came here versus trying to fit the mold. And it is pernicious, the ways in which we will still cling to those for safety.
Mhm.
I mean, I was talking to somebody earlier today and they were like, well, I don't want anybody to think I think I'm Jesus or something. I'm like, what if Jesus said that? Can you
Right.
imagine? And he's like, well, I don't want anybody to think I'm not going to carry out my soul plan. Yeah.
Mm.
So a lot of it is that it's just working through all the micro levels, integrating them, and then activating your own multidimensional geometries and blueprints for what
Mm.
you're here for. And what I'm feeling from the field right now is that it's almost like as we drop the act of fitting in as a, distortional human with like all the things that humans get up to here and hiding our love from ourselves, I can feel everyone's song coming online.
Mm.
And it feels like it just starts to crescendo. So to your point, this is not a dress rehearsal. We're in it right now.
Yeah. As you shared the instruments, also, I can feel the harmonization that's happening on a vibrational level, and we're showing up for it. And some people you can pluck their chord and immediately they go into being attuned. Other people a little more discordant, but we're all working with each other for that one note to really sing in its fullest capacity.
That's
Um,
it. Yeah. The other message
with
coming
it.
through right now is please depersonalize the distortion. You're an amazing soul who took on an ancestral line with incredible, complex amounts of distortion and trauma and the effects of that. And you knew you could alchemize it. Here's the
Mm.
kicker. I'll be the first to raise my hand. You're out of balance and not asking for help. I'm still working on that one. All these
Mm.
things, if it's better to give than receive, I'm going to call BS on that. That's not balance. And
Mm.
so a lot of where a lot of people in their seeking and self-concept as healers are stuck, I'm being shown right now, is not being willing to reach out and ask for more support.
Direct question for you. This may seem simple,
Mhm.
but that's the beauty of it. How do you ask for help, Aisha?
In so many ways. The first thing I do is I ask my own spirit team, and of course my father's on the other side, my grandmother. I remember to ask them for help. Like I'll catch myself in the morning. I sit with sunrise with my coffee every morning, right? And greet the day. And I'll catch myself, John's like starting to be like, and this and that, and we'll work on this project. And then I'm like, I can feel it all building. I'm like, woo, all right. Sit back and I'm like, can I get some help on focusing on, what really is going to be of service? Not that my ego thinks needs to get done or is getting attached to.
Mhm.
And then invariably, what happens throughout the day is all of a sudden, like the ideas arrive fully formed, there's a flow, there's lots of beautiful signs and synchronicities. And then, of course, I do practice. Like if someone offers to help, I used to turn them down. Oh, no, I'm good. I don't need any help. I do not do that anymore. Someone wants to open a door, I graciously receive. Someone wants to buy me a coffee, thank you so much. In all the micro ways as well. And then I'll be honest, I mean, I lone wolf hermited for a good 2 years. I mean, I was in total isolation, which it served its role. I reformatted myself. but I have to override kind of a propensity to just be with just me. And so I'm like, and who am I calling today in my friend circle? That
Mm,
sort of thing. So many of
beautiful.
us don't want to be like a burden to others, or we feel like
Well,
we should have this figured out.
well, that's also a shadow aspect. We think that it's us being sovereign or not bothering other people and all that, but that's actually a strong shadow aspect that gets lost in this infliction of there's something wrong with me or I can't receive or it's not safe to or whatever else. And we justify it thinking that it's some kind of chivalrous energy to be in, to
Yeah.
give more than we receive.
Yeah.
But
And I
it's
would
really it's really some of the manipulations of ego in the shadow to keep it suppressed.
absolutely. And I would say it's some of the larger programs of like martyr and self-sacrifice to prove worthiness. And again, conditional love.
Right. And we've been entrained into it. We didn't create this, y'all. We've been taught
Mhm.
this. We've been taught this. And receiving, man, that was one. I went through 2 years of a deep initiation in my Kali energy. I was told it's going to be your Kali year. Everything that was supposed to be destroyed is going to be destroyed. We love you so much that it doesn't serve, and just get ready. A year of Kali, and then as Kali came back, it's like, nope, you're still not done. A little bit more. And then the following year was, this is the year you're going to be receiving. This is your year of receiving. Like, thank God, finally. About time. It was one of the hardest years I've ever had.
Yeah. Yeah. That these initiations that many of us have been living through, to your point, refinement. And I get it. I mean, I didn't like it as I've had to go through these for sure. My
Mm,
ego didn't like it, but I look back, John, and I'm like, oh, thank God things didn't expand when I was still in that distortion. And
right.
so, like, I'm watching for many healers and many spiritual teachers, myself included, it's like our soul's calling timeout. We're going to refine all this, and then you can amplify. And the way I like to think of it is as, the electron rate and the vibrational speed is speeding up. Think of a car with a wheel that wobbles. At 5 miles an hour, no big deal. 80 miles an hour, the whole car is going to come apart. So we
Mm.
are we are clearing up distortion now so that we can move and the body can move with us.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. I can talk to you. You can just hog the whole conversation right now, but I want to get you all live on the Q&A, and we definitely have to go through a special offer because to dive in with Aisha and on live calls like this, it's going to be quite extraordinary. Uh, First, I'm guided to call on Marcella, though. Marcella, welcome to the call. If I can ask you to unmute your microphone, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Aisha. Thank you, John, for this opportunity to share.
Hmm.
So I've been working with my shadow for a few years. I had the dark night of the soul, and I struggle a lot with my emotions. I'm not aware of them, and I have a hard time crying and understanding what I'm feeling. And I've been doing like I did like three works with that with the shaman. I tried to feel my feelings, and lately I did it with an Indian guy that helped me out a little bit. But it's still like I have past life situations and related to sexual assault, and I cannot release that because I cannot go into deep into my emotions. Like they say, like you have to go and how to say surrender to the emotions. But it's just when I try to get to that, something blocks me. And also, like I love the idea of receiving. And during all this time with the Dark Night of the Soul, I asked for support, but I never got what I needed. So it's like crazy shit. And I'm like, oh, maybe I should just shut up and isolate myself and just try to deal with the situation. So I would like some clarity on that, please. Thank
Yeah, you bet. Well, hi, Marcella. It's nice to connect with you. Yeah. Just
you.
your team just wants you to drop into your heart for a moment, out of your head. Just let you, there you go. Yeah. And so your inner child just understood that it was much easier to be unseen and not have emotions because adults around you felt very uncomfortable. And so this all pertains, there we go. Things are shifting as we're talking. I can feel it. This is all opening up in here. It's all about safety. Hiding your emotions meant hiding yourself and being protected. So yeah, this is all shifting. I can feel all this in your throat and your jaw moving. There we go. There we go. Yeah,
Mm,
and the back is opening here. So your team's like, we got her from here. Yep. Beautiful.
mm. I'm
Thank
feeling you,
you. I can
Marcella.
feel like, oh my God, I'm feeling like this heat coming up, like menopause or something.
Yeah, it's all moving now. Just bring it into the light. If you're familiar with past life regression work, often when you just present something, then this resolves. This is very similar. It's just dealing with, kind of multiple layers of it at the same time. Yeah.
Blessings to you, Marcella. And Marcella, what if that
Thank you.
energy isn't an energy like menopause? What if that energy is love running through you?
Oh, that would be nice. And sometimes I need to turn the fan on because it's so hot.
Well, yeah, but really come back and be in the energy of this again and allow that love to heat and burn those things through you. That's you showing up for you, love. It's wonderful. Yeah.
Mm,
Thank you for sharing.
thank you.
Yeah.
God bless us all.
Yes, absolutely. And then some, then even more. Uh, all right, let's continue.
Bye.
Karen, let's go to you. Bye, Marcella. Hey, Karen.
Well, good evening. How are you?
Happy to see you. What is your question for Aisha?
I just want to say a big hello to Asia. I'm one of her biggest fans as well as yours.
Uh,
Exactly what she just did with Marcella. She's so genuine, so amazing, so awesome. She's literally looks you in the eye, gets down to business, and there's everything is genuine and absolutely amazing. She's
mm,
offered so many good programs and learning about being joy, bringing love into your life, and also there's just so much, but dropping into the heart is wonderful. So I could just go on forever like you, John, to talk to Asia, but I just want
mm,
to say if anyone's even thinking about taking this program, take it. You will not be disappointed.
mm,
And I'm so happy to hear it's about shadow work because I'm 59, and honestly, I think until the last breath I take, there'll always be shadow work, but I'm in an agreement. It's not scary. It's just something to go about. Light is to be shed. I get the hermit card in my tarot quite often. So when that light is shone, like for example, if judgment keeps coming up, do you have like quick hacks to get maybe back on track?
Just phrase it just a slightly different way, the question.
If you feel that judgment is coming in
Mhm.
to your awareness and you really know that that's not something that you need to participate in, would there be a better way to redirect your thought
Okay.
pattern?
This is beautiful. All right, you're gonna love this answer. And thank you, Karen.
You're welcome.
Lovely to see you. Don't judge the judger.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, so the wounded motivation of the whole planet is we got to get it right. There's no right or wrong, right? Rumi, the Sufi poet, there's a field beyond right doing and wrong doing. I'll meet you there. So that's what, yeah, it's creating like nervous tension for many people. I can feel it like the enervation of like, I got to get this right, got to get this right. And we're programmed like that from the time we're little in school. Got to get the right answer, got to get the right grade. So, like, yeah, there we go. As that drops, so yes, judgment will come up. We'll watch it. Don't judge the judger, just get curious. Tell me, what is this judgment telling me? What is it revealing? Well, it's going to reveal the ways we don't love ourselves.
mm.
Yes, because everything's a mirror, isn't it?
You got it.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for the
beautiful, Karen.
question.
Yeah, great question. Thanks for coming. It's wonderful to see you. We're going to get into more Q&A, some great questions in the chat or comments in the chat. But Karen, since you mentioned it, let's go ahead and go to the special offer, y'all. The special offer button is underneath the video where you're watching the live call or the replay. If you're on the replay, welcome, by the way. And if you're on the YouTube channel or just listening, you can always access the special offers on beyondtheordinaryshow.com/marketplace. And from that space there, you can open up the special offer for Aisha. And Aisha, talk to us about these immersions with you
Yeah.
that are part of what you've created for our BTO audience.
Yeah, it's interesting because your container spurred this new revelation within the way that I've been holding these groups. And so what I was shown is that kind of like summer recess, if we take a big time off, we kind of forget what we were doing. We lose our momentum. So it's 4 live experiences, I can't just call them calls, right? That are co-created by the people who show up in these containers. And I am guided to deliver like a very specific kind of like message and focus and activation. And then everyone goes into sharing. And what people bring from a very open, vulnerable, and honest place serves the entire group. And what I'm being shown now is a huge healing happens because we realize, oh, the thing I thought I was all alone with, no. And what is starting to heal in another starts to heal in everyone else. And so there's 4 of these calls on Tuesdays and Saturdays, beginning October 7th and then ending October 18th. So it's going to be kind of like a, just an amazing 2-week window in which you can move through so much. And um, it's specific to blind spots in your shadow and your wounded motivation that are, yeah, to your point, John, keeping you on like the same pattern and the same loop, and then bringing it into much more conscious awareness for you to work with out front instead of in the blind spot.
Beautiful. With these classes, and I find these so timely, I'm curious what your awareness is of the next 3 months in our collective reality, like what we're experiencing from, I call it from an initiatory standpoint of what we're growing into,
Yeah.
and what's possible as we tune into that.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of be showing this interesting, image right now of everyone making their own shifts and adjustments, and like the whole chorus starts to move together. It's kind of
Get
what I
the
was
chills.
hearing,
Yeah.
yeah, earlier of like everyone starts to activate and unfold their own design, their own harmonic, their own vibrational song, and then yeah, this is where they're saying, and you all will stun yourselves at how fast everything then shifts, and in terms of personal developments, but also I'm hearing sub-collective. And so
Mm.
this is I've spoken about this a lot. It's like let go of the distraction of polarity drama and focus on what wants to emerge within you and create the new constructs and new playgrounds. So we can spend a lot of energy fighting the old in very, you know, well-crafted polarity dramas to distract humanity, or we can get
Mm.
busy remembering our true spiritual inheritance and carrying out our multidimensional blueprints and basically creating all new kinds of playgrounds that are,
Mm.
it feels, I was given these downloads at Hot Springs in 21, and it was basically like, look, as humanity, as people begin to remember this, life will begin to feel like a musical. And that can
Mm.
seem really trite, except that I have begun to experience this in like small examples and with different people who've arrived in this place. So I'm just really excited to see what we end up creating.
That's really wonderful. And I love what it's guiding us to. And what I also understand is that these energies are meeting us individually
Yes.
where we are along the journey. So that doesn't mean the whole world's going to come up to Shangri-La. You've been doing your work for God knows how long. I've been going into the shadow. I've been repatterning limiting beliefs. I've been doing ancestral work. And somebody who doesn't and hasn't gone through those passageways won't necessarily be at the same place that you will. May they accelerate through a lot faster than maybe our particular journey? Most likely, probably because more of us are anchoring that field in a higher place.
Absolutely.
But what this is also calling in is that this is a calling forward into that great potential that we're feeling. It's like we're like horses at the gate ready to start running the field, right? And we're just waiting for the gates to open. But there's also a sincerity within us of really desiring to know ourselves in the most intimate of ways that we've never done it before. And it's from there, Aisha, that I feel that the magic that we're craving and that we feel is about to pop is really born. And we're being asked to, again, mine those parts and get to know them because we're ready to amplify just how precious this beingness through our individuality really is.
That's it. So beautifully said. And again, what's the point of shadow work is to find places where we're still being driven from wounding. Because if we self-actualize and create new constructs that have that distortion in them, that conditional love, they're going to have to get taken down again and rebuilt again. So, yeah, allowing that to come apart so that what has been there all along, to your point, nothing's broken. The whole
Right.
underneath can self-reveal.
Y'all, this is again to be in this field, and y'all can y'all feel the field that's being held with Aisha and all of us on the call together? Again, we're doing this, and Aisha's providing a foundational pillar for like this truth to emanate through us, through our hearts and knowingness. Um, so to go into 4 live weeks with Aisha, again, it's of Shadow Alchemy. The dates are, let me read them on here. I know I have them in here. There's 75 to 90-minute live sessions. There's 4 of them. Tuesday, October 7th, Saturday the 11th, Tuesday the 14th, and Saturday the 18th, beginning at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Yes, there will be replays. They're available. I'm assuming that's correct. I
Yeah,
can't imagine
that's
there
right.
would be. If you happen to miss it, are there Q&As on the call? Yeah, time for Q&A and integration on all sessions. And what you're receiving through this, the bullet points are on the special offer page, but I really want to go through them. Alignment with your soul purpose through shadow alchemy, experience of multi-dimensional template work. And you're gonna be doing this. Are you doing this while you're in Egypt?
This is right before I leave for Egypt.
Okay,
Yeah.
wow, wow. Ooh, I can feel what's coming through on there. Experience multi-dimensional template work to clear distortion and anchor harmony, balance, and unity. Transformation that feels more joyful and playful. Thank God I am ready for some play, y'all. Rooted in presence. Practical integration, which is that grounding in that I was talking about earlier, showing up as a more loving partner, parents, and practitioner. And then greater clarity and confidence and joy in your mission of service to humanity. So that's what's being anchored and offered here. And of course, so much more in your multidimensional experience. But this is such a special offer, y'all. It's $147. It's a 2 payment option. And what a fantastic opportunity for our community for you to get to dive into greater intimacy of just how precious and powerful and how much you mean into this world right now. So again, the link for the special offer, y'all, it's in the chat box. In the special offer buttons, just click on that, or always on the marketplace at beyondtheordinaryshow.com/marketplace. Um, and Aisha, with that, I want to open up to a little more Q&A if you're open
You
to that.
bet.
So there's a question that came in through the chat, and I want to get into it. And there's a lot of y'all with hands raised also that I want to get into as well. Let me find it. It was about receiving, the question that came in. Um, all right, I'm gonna have to dig through it. So let me go ahead and take a live caller and I'll find that live
Okay.
question. So, Rosemary, let's get you to unmute your microphone. Welcome to the call.
Oh, hi. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Aisha and John. You mentioned you were a product of the 80s. I'm a product of the growing up in the 60s. And that seemed to have a particular dynamic of energy that I felt as kind of s- suppressive, especially for a young black girl growing up that time. So my question basically is, um, that seemed to be still with me. And it seemed to be um, suppressing feelings or even at my age, making me a little nervous, especially in the morning about things. I try to breathe into it. So I would like to get some clarification about that.
Yeah, so your team's busy giving me all these memos, and there's already some energy shifting as this is coming through. So part of what you're up to in this lifetime is upholding an internalized outer perception as your self-perception and staying in character to meet the outside world based on what and how you think they perceive you. There we go. So like your team is helping you begin to shift this in your own blueprint and in your field and in your self-concept. Basically, what they're saying, Rosemary, is you can break character. Yeah, there you go. You can break character. You don't have to stay in character to meet the idea you have of how the world sees you.
Okay. I'm not quite sure
Yeah.
how we go about that exactly.
Yeah, there's your mind and this has been my experience. My mind is always behind my multidimensional remembering in my heart. So it's already in motion. Like I actually can feel all the energy shifting and like repatterning. And so when you like they're showing me you now going forward, like walking down the street, you're going to become much, much, much more aware of this idea you have of how the world perceives you. And in that awareness is a choice point to either
Hmm.
continue along that character or to create a new character arc and a different story development. And this is where your creativity, they're showing me you like as a young person playing and coloring and like going back into that mode of if I were to rewrite this, what would my story look like?
Hmm.
And to play around with that and it becomes much more malleable and so it's already in motion. Like I can feel all the like I
Hmm.
see geometries like a kaleidoscope and it shifts.
Hmm. And opening the heart more, I would imagine as well. Letting that settle, that child settle into the heart and expanding it from there.
Yeah, it's essentially is like you're beginning to become much more aware of the agreement you made to be the character that you think the world thinks you are. And now you're like, I don't know.
Hmm.
Maybe I don't need to be that, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah.
I get the mantra coming in. If I don't know who I am, who would I be?
Uh, yes,
If I
yes.
don't know who I am, who would I be?
Oh,
Hmm.
but ask that question if I don't know who I am.
Ask yourself that, yeah. If
If I
I
don't know
don't know
who I
who
am.
I am, who would I be?
Okay, great. Thank you.
And ask that when you're going into the grocery store. Ask that when you get in your car. Ask that when you're cooking dinner. Ask that the next time you're with a group of friends or going online.
Great. Thank you. Got that.
Yeah, beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Rosemary.
Thank you.
Blessings too. Um, we're going to take a lot more Q&A. We've got plenty of time, y'all, so we'll get on. Corey, I want to go to you now. And again, I'll get to the chat box in a second. Welcome, Corey.
Hi, thank you, John, and thank you, Asia. By the way, just for anyone who is new to her work, she is a very profound healer and has helped me to move through some really big chunks of my own awareness, especially my own galactic Akos and personal Akos. And so overall, Asia, just thank you so much for all the work that you do and for supporting us. It's an honor to be working with you. But the question I want to ask you is that there's a deeper layer of core shadow trauma that's revealing itself that's very early developmental in my life.
Mm.
And when it comes to wanting to do active service, right? So the soul plan, the soul mission, showing up, being the healer, doing all these, wonderful things, there are moments when this core shadow early developmental trauma surfaces and it's very disruptive. It's very unharmonious. It has no equilibrium. And it's one of those that can shut down the body, shut down the senses, and shut down the sense of play and joy. And so when we are starting up our active service, but we're still running into active shadow in our work with others or in our own personal journey, what will help us to find harmony and equilibrium so we can find a flow state and not so much of a disruptive back and forth stumble as we're finding our footing in the new walk? Because like John said, there's so much of this choice point, the new patterning, but even myself, I have very difficult time being a 37-year-old male living a 4-year-old boy many times and seeing through those eyes and lenses. And so, do you have any advice on those that are trying to stand up, find their flow, find their momentum, but keep feeling like they're getting knocked down by the shadow work?
It's so lovely to see you, Corey.
Mm.
I sure do. Because I have been through this myself recently, and the first thing the team is coming in with is just to presence without any judgment, ironically, the judgment of the hijack of the younger self. When we have a younger part that is in a lot of pain, we can feel like it's a hijack of our lives, a sabotage, like you said, a disruption. Feel the judgment in that. There we go. There we go.
Mm.
Oh, that's shifting. Yeah. So that judgment is only serving to make that part feel wrong. And that part is not wrong. It just is. It's just information. And so I get all of this because like I said, I've been through these lately in a way that's been really stunning. Your team's also asking you to look at the attachment to the outcome of like, I need this disruption needs to stop so I can get on with this, right?
Mm.
And this is the point that I was making earlier, and I've certainly seen this in my own life. And like, thank God I didn't move forward in my work while this was still behind the scenes, like almost like under concrete. This is exactly where you're supposed to be. It's not a disruption, it's data. It's what wants to be expressed. And they did say that your times in this mode are much less than they used to be in duration. So you're moving through and cycling through. And I can relate to that as well in terms of younger parts of me that have had to come forward and believe me, like grab the steering wheel, create havoc, and then me have to like kind of almost like, all right, we can't do it that way anymore, but not from a place of harshness, from a place of like if a like a toddler has a tantrum, we provide a safe environment for them to express that. And it's okay. So like, yeah, that is this helpful, Corey? Like any sort of
Yeah.
judgment that that's wrong, let that go. Any sort of attachment of like where it should be, let that go because all of it's serving to get to where your own blueprint set this up.
Yes, and it's because it's like not only is it a personal trauma of trust and faith in action, but it is like also a collective trauma I see happening where we don't trust the world, we don't trust one another, we don't trust leadership, we don't trust the reality. And so in this is really, actively finding faith within this moment that, what, it's like I can pivot at any moment and trust. I can surrender to source, I can surrender to God, I can surrender to the universe. And I think that's it can feel debilitating, these deconstructions, right? These call, like, as I've had probably a 2 or 3 year yuga that's been going on, and it's like, when is this ever going to end? But there's something to about embracing that, rainbows after rain, there is going to be a moment of conclusion. There's going to be that precipice moment where we reemerge as the new self, and to be excited for that while we're in the waiting period, right? So
That's
Well,
it.
it's funny because it sounds like you're integrating shadow, you're alchemizing shadow, and that's actually a pretty powerful and exciting place to be in, even though it's uncomfortable.
yes, thank you for that reframe. And yeah, and that's important too,
Yeah.
because in this is there's been a lot. I know for myself, I come from a behavioral health background, and so there's this sense that, oh, I'm losing control, I'm entering psychosis, I'm in the spiritual delusion, which can be so debilitating. And then a part of this is, though, too, this is that healthy womb in which we birth new creation, right, where the bird finds its wings. And so as you're mentioning this, John, I am feeling the sense of creating like a healthy nesting period to allow the body, allow the alchemy to do what it needs to do, to allow the ego to get out of the way on how it needs to be, and just surrender to the fact that there is a birth in process, and allow that to be a beautiful moment, right?
Yeah. Well, I love where Aisha took you with this. It's just amplified in what's coming through. Aisha, what I was hearing also, and I just want to share this for my own benefit as a reminder, but to ripple it out to us also. Man, we need to play more, even as these things are happening. And even laugh with spirit, not at spirit. Like I'm not laughing at spirit, bring it on because I'm gonna overcome this and you'll say, but laugh. It's like, okay, here's the cosmic giggle coming in. It's like, all right, I'm along for the ride. And bring a little bit of the awareness of a dance and playfulness that we're doing with spirit simultaneously to lighten the heart, because when we do that, we not only lighten the heart for ourselves, but we also lighten the heart for the collective. Again, we feel the collective coming in. What are we putting out to it? And to bring that love, that amplification of the truth that's awakening within you, and you putting that, all right, you're going to bounce that off of me. I'm going to bounce this off of you, and we're going to play ping pong, right?
Yep.
And how wonderful, because you're empowered to do that, obviously, or else you wouldn't be going through this initiation.
So very much so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Corey, I was just telling Artemisia, my daughter, on a hike today, like everything. I went to bed last night and my remembering came in strongly. It was like, it's time to play even more. And so,
Nice.
what does that mean? It means I play in work, I play in shadow work. Everything is play. Paying taxes is play. Like, this is all just a play. And so if you can approach it that way, even it's like versus the serious business of shadow alchemy.
And we go through waves. My God, I go through periods. I'm like, man, when's this going to end? And other times I'm just like, all right, here I am. And we call it surrender, but isn't, again, I said it earlier, it's like, what a gift it is to wait on source to show us what's next, right? What a gift that is to wait for God as all this is happening. So wonderful. Corey, man, you're awesome. Welcome to the call. I haven't seen you on the calls before. So thanks for sharing and thanks for
Thank you.
being on the journey that you're on. Um, Aisha, this wasn't a question. I think it was a comment, but I think it's a great question also. How can we give if we're not open to receive?
Hmm. Well, this is the self-sacrifice program.
Mm,
It's in some ways the reason why women, according to Dr. Gabor Mate, are dying of autoimmune disorders at 3 times the rate of men because
wow.
the program for women is self-sacrifice. You use up all of your life force for family and you leave all the little breadcrumbs for yourself, right?
Mhm.
And this plays itself out. And that's just one very concrete example. So we're giving, but with a cost versus becoming the cup that overflows of source love.
Mhm.
And then there's just, I always see like an infinity flow. My own team called me out on this a few years ago. They're saying, yeah, you put out so much, but when it comes back to you in different forms, you block it. You're blocking the return. So you're not allowing the infinity flow, the circuit to complete.
Mm. How might this relate to leaking energy?
Yeah. And then I'm getting tons of information
Yeah.
on that. So leaking energy is directly related to shadow, especially because there's so much wounded motivation in performative life, performing for love, that we don't honor our own truth. So like if it's being asked something to do something and it's clearly a no, but you override it out of, wanting love and acceptance, whew, this is where like, so many people in their awakening have to come face to face with where we do or do not have healthy boundaries,
Right.
And I'm a recovering rescuer.
Mm.
So I understand this one very well. But the shadow side of the rescuer is a self-concept built on the value of I'm the one that's helping.
Right.
Yeah.
And spiritual ego comes into play also. It's something that we all go through in one way or another,
Yeah.
thinking that we're capable of fixing something or someone because it's not the way that we want it, that we deem that it should be. And so part of that shadow also in this reframe of judgment and actually holding a space for individualization and soul integration and expansion, it's it's just wonderful to be aware of it so that when we're in it, which we all go through different phases of being it, perhaps. Again, so we don't judge it. We can just grow and learn from it, recognize it and say, oh, something's just presenting to myself here. Um, and I'm willing to be intimate with it so I can learn and grow from it.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Beautiful.
a lot that comes through. It's such a good call, y'all. I can't wait to the course. It's what y'all are going to experience. Uh, something, and Catherine, I want to go to you next. So if you want to start unmuting, but Corey shared something about Galactic Akos. Tell us more about your work in the Galactic Akos, please. I cannot let that go.
Well, so there's so much there's so many beings here at this time for a number of different reasons. But what I find self-presents in a person's self-concept is what is wanting to come in as complementarity via like this multidimensional self that we are. So what I was shown years ago, we have all these different fractals in many different dimensions and star systems, and um, the one that self-presents, let's say like the Arcturian self-presented to me in 2016, so that I could integrate my Arcturian aspect. I am a different being and a different, fractal, but we share the same oversoul, the same monadic self. And so that then becomes like we understand our orientation of what we're trying to solve and resolve in a human form here. So we can like take, let's say, a lot of conflict maybe we've experienced in the Orion system and work on it here with a bunch of different players in human form in a way that then kind of puts a puzzle together and a new template. And then what I've been shown, John, is everything we're doing here right now is rippling way beyond Earth and it's being applied in all these different systems. And so you gain an appreciation of who you are in different forms. And then I can really geek out and talk about the intertech transfer of the multidimensional self. So, we know like Peace Corps and knowledge share will go to other countries and share technology. Well, we're multidimensional beings, so we have these different fractals in different, maybe more evolved civilizations. Those abilities can become ours. This is how I've kind of evolved my human experience, and that's kind of a fun. See, it's another fun, playful
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
to experience in the all it is. And that is the primary principle of creation was play, not survival.
Mm,
So humanity's just beginning to remember its true spiritual heritage and beginning to come up and out of, you know, survival mode,
right.
trauma bearing, reptilian brain and into like putting ourselves into a higher order and basically a different playground.
That's wonderful. The layers in the chambers of our toy chest run deep, which is amazing. Wow, what a great reframe. I love the lightness that's coming through that energy of playfulness, of joy, of like being excited about what's coming up and what we're experiencing, like being excited, like something is happening here that feels like it's illuminating something that I hadn't seen before, and it feels good. I may not feel good experiencing here, or maybe I'm even appreciating while I'm having in the contraction.
Mhm.
But something is unfolding that feels so like it's the right time. Like it's just so on purpose. Like it's an experience that I'm excited to be a part of.
Mm.
So beautiful. Catherine, get to you in a second. Y'all, I want to remind you of the special offer. Chris, um, type the link for the special offer in the chat box so everybody can access it there in case you don't see the button underneath the live page or the replay page, the special offer button. 4 classes in October, 75 to 90 minutes each, 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. Eastern. You can ask Q&A, get ready for the activations and just the assimilation of the vibrational frequency that is emitted in the group through you and Aisha. And again, so many testimonials already about her work. And this is the first time Aisha's on Beyond the Ordinary. So I'm just so grateful to have this experience. And I'm excited for y'all that are going to go deeper into those live calls. All right, Catherine, welcome to the call.
Oh, thanks, John.
You're welcome.
Every response has been so helpful to me. I
Mm.
just thank God we have each other. Like, and I
Yeah.
just feel that it's just confirming so many things. I really wanted to ask you and ask my team. Um, I have a blind spot. I mean, we all have our blind spots.
Mm.
One I'm talking about is I literally lost sight in an eye, my left eye, about 20 years ago, and it was in a an abusive situation with a female boss. My mother was that was the experience with my mother as well. So there's so many things I'm aware of, there's so many things I've worked on, but I feel like I'm right on the cusp of an awakening and an opening around that because I've always felt this profound connection with divine feminine. I've had, deep experiences, but I don't bring it out in the world. And I just wanted to ask sort of what blind spots could be brought forth around that right now.
Uh,
Yeah, your team's gently bringing forward your ability to see so clearly um, in other systems would be such a wonderful thing and it would be celebrated. And here it has, from a very young age, you've experienced, again, I see this so much with healers, the fear of others feeling like you have X-ray vision.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, oh gosh, there we go. It's all
Yeah.
moving. Oof.
I'm feeling very emotional right now.
Oof.
Yeah.
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 So the pain that you've associated with being able to see has turned on you. There we go. We're shifting it. There we go. Everything's shifting back
Ooh,
around.
you gotta take this.
Whew. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yep. There you go. Everything shifted. There we
Yeah.
go. Yeah. Um, and your team wants you to have this mantra. Life is now for me, not against me. There we go. Yeah, that's you're like it's like you just set yourself downriver and like allowing yourself to just go with the current. And I felt a huge shift in your tailbone. Huge.
That speaks to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually broke my tailbone when I was young.
Mm.
And I think that created some distortions. I fell off a horse. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But all that around the pain around seeing so clearly and being persecuted for it just shifted and cleared. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
very totally.
interesting. You're now helping me see that in the job I was in when I lost the sight, that's what was happening. I was seeing a whole bunch of things that,
Mm.
Thank you. That's
You're
so
welcome.
incredibly helpful.
Beautiful. I love what's coming through here. I can feel you, Catherine.
Yeah, it was, I felt like it was just about to burst. So that's why I thought, okay, I'm going to ask because it was just, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and I feel very clearly like now you're really in alignment, and that site is such an asset for the work you're here to do.
Which I'm not sure what it is, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like when you said I'm going down the river now, I feel
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah.
You got it.
I can tell you what part of your work is.
Go for it.
It's really easy. You'll go, oh yeah, once I say it. But it's really it's part of the initiation for all of us, and we've alluded to it on the call today. But once you feel safe to express, to see, and to be seen, it's the openness that you have permission to be loved.
Yeah.
And your purpose is really to expand and to surrender to being loved. There's so much love that is waiting at the doorways for all of us. And this is the evolutionary cycle that we're in into this place. And as we clear these spaces, as Asia so beautifully guiding into illuminating those blocks, the shadow that wants to rise alchemically. Once it alchemizes, what portal is it opening? What doorway do you have access to? In that multi-dimensional reality that wasn't clear because our perception was shifted in another direction. And so your job, love, your purpose, and illuminate the next step and the next step after that is to open to be loved
Yeah, that's a big one.
for all of us, for
Yeah.
all of us. And I felt it strongly when you came on. I wanted to well up. It's like,
Yeah. Well, that level of rejection from a mother, I think I'm really feeling that it created this like deep well of compassion in me,
mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
in trying to understand the why. It's like, well, it's created a great deal of capacity for compassion, which now I'm so grateful for.
Mhm. Amen to that. The wounded healer healing other people. Yes. Because we know we've experienced it. We've gone through it. We can hold that space
Yeah.
because we know the depth of the
Yeah.
pain and the separation. So beautiful, Catherine. Thank you.
Much love to you all. Thank
Much
you.
love to
Thank
you.
you.
Again, I wasn't going to say anything because wow, what a ride that Aisha was taking you on in the opening, but it was right there. So yeah, thank you. Kira is joining us from the UK, from London. Welcome, Kira. Uh, Thanks for being on here. And we have someone just raise their hand. I think we're going to take our last caller for the evening, but I feel it's going to be pretty activating. Author, if you want to come on, let's bring you on. And no, he declined coming on. All right, author, I gave you the chance. But there is another question that came in that I wanted to get into also. So Shanna sharing that the way of play rather than the path of trauma, pain, and suffering has never seemed so clearly explained or understood. Thank you, Aisha, for sharing that. Um, And then Amanda's asking, thank you, Amanda, for asking this. Any tips on being called to field work? I want to honor my visions and feelings of already doing work in these places, but I have a deep fear of being successful. Because what if my visions are true and come true? There's like this internal human panic that she's feeling.
Yeah, there it is. The human self-concept doesn't often square with the larger mission because, you know, still early days in normalizing this kind of work. I'm really picking up a fear of like, it's like I'm being shown like, here's the box and here are the lines, and we can color, like you've developed a comfort level with coloring just a certain way here, but if it goes too far outside the lines, there's like a panic that sets in, and this goes to what all of us have to navigate is not only the fear of judgment, but the fear of exile. Um,
Mm,
and maybe even death. So yeah, it's just work with your body's nervous system. I'm picking up a lot of like father line and ancestral paternal line, approval, disapproval, that whole negotiation. And so this comes down to again, your team's routing it in like, what if this was a video game? You wouldn't have any problem playing that game, would you? That would be fun. You would get to do all this work and you'd be like, look at what I did.
mm.
The game is so fun. That's the approach.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Ah, such a great question. I'm glad that you asked that because, again, that's part of the question of purpose. That's part of the question of what do I do next and how am I received? And I don't know how I'm going to be received. I may be too much. I may not be enough. Um, what if something happens in so many different ways? Even past life fears, current
Hmm.
life, those multi-dimensional expressions of fear, but we're here now. And so what you're sharing is so it cuts through all those different realities and just anchors it into the root of its birth that
Hmm.
lives across dimensions, and how wonderful that we can repattern it and reinterpret it from here.
And the other thing I'm being prompted to share, John, and Amanda prompted the question, but I think this is for all of us. The one thing we take out of here with us as souls is the ability that we've honed to meet each moment with love versus fear. That is something we could drop form, we leave material, everything, but we take with us that expansive ability. So meeting that particular fear, whatever your fear is, with as much unconditional love as you can, is the one thing we take with us from existence to existence to existence.
Mm. Ah, so beautiful. Such permission in what you're sharing. Such permission in what you're sharing. Oh my God, I'm excited for those of y'all who are going to do the live calls with Aisha. It's going to be epic. And what's coming through, and again, we're activated and amplified in our capacities. Um, an expression that is just absolutely wonderful. So I know there's more questions coming in, but I want to honor our time together in community on the call and honor Aisha's time and energy as well. And again, dive in deeper with Aisha. The special offer link is in the chat box. Beautiful opportunity to really experience and be lifted through what's being shared. And with that, Aisha, what a wonderful call. It's just, I just feel in such beautiful fluidity with you. It's wonderful to be here with you. And thank you for
Likewise, John, thank
doing
you.
yeah. Mm,
Yeah, yeah. Nice to shift our light quotient together with everyone tonight.
for sure. For sure. So amazing. Such a wonderful playground. And thank all of y'all for being on the call and amplifying the space for us with us as well. And my invitation to all of us, let's just play more together and share that play with others.
Woohoo.
More and more, please. And with that, thank you all for being on the call. I bow down to each and every one of you in namaste. And I look forward to seeing y'all on the next call. Have a great evening.